it's crazy when I tell you this, but this is how simple or complicated things happen. But I figured this craziness out, so I'm just going to tell it to you the way I would tell it to you if you were in my living room. Okay. So first of all, I would like you to finish the sentence, books are. I'll give you some examples while you're thinking. I've heard challenging, I've heard inspiring, I've heard breathtaking, I've heard essential, I've heard information. They were all eyes. It's so funny, I can't remember. But I'm just going to keep going. So there's just so many different answers to books are. No one has ever said books are a rectangle with words. No one. So I was like, what is going on here? Well, everyone has a definition, and it's just a definition. So as you know, we can learn new definitions. And in the case of books, what has happened is that books, the definition that you use, there's a couple things that went on. One is it's kind of been locked in a location where something happened, and experience the thing that happened, and an emotion. So imagine that if, you're saying books are, but back in time, when you start thinking about your early literacy memories, somewhere in there is when books became the word you just said. Okay, so we're going to, one more time, books are. Just take your time, finish that. There's obviously no wrong answer at all. Okay, but now I'm going to go talk about food. So when I talk about food, if I were in a class, I would ask everyone to share a special food story. So I've heard a lot of special food stories. I met somebody yesterday that talked about this piece of fruit. I can't even say the name of the fruit, but everything that she said about the fruit was like, I want that fruit. It was crazy. So everyone has a food story. I met somebody who said, well, it was it delivered to us. Didn't really have much need for it. Ate it, left. I'm like, interesting, right? Because that's actually their story of food, right? And if you look at them, honestly, you could tell that they're very exact about their food. There's no extras, So it's just kind of interesting. We all have a food memory. But my favorite food memory is this. And it's going to go back to your food memory. So I'm going to wait a minute while you think of a food memory. Just one in your head. Whether it's cultural or mom, dad, doesn't matter wherever it's from, but a good one. I just want it to be positive to kind of prove the point. Okay, so I was in a meeting with some parents and some librarians, and I asked the same question. And there was this woman that says, oh my gosh, well, when I was a child, my school was across the street from my house. So every day at lunch, I crossed the street, went to the fence and yelled, Mom! And my mom came out and brought me a burrito. Every day of childhood, this kid had a warm, handmade tortilla and fresh beans every day. And I'm like, man, there were probably kids that referred to her as the burrito girl. And knew how lucky she was, right? And she had all that love wrapped up in that burrito, which is just crazy to think about. How much there is in that burrito. How much love, how much care, how many memories. Like, she walked back into that class and that teacher's like, oh, that was lunch. Or the teacher saw her leaving and was like, hey, burrito girl, don't forget who your favorite teacher is, right? And kids going, hey, are you burrito girl? Can I come over? Like, it was probably just a whole thing, right? So, okay, here's the thing that I learned. Now imagine the same story, just like you heard it. Only one day, her dad's home, and he's been fired from his job. And he's drunk. And he's upset. And he's on the front porch when she comes up to the gate and yells, Mom. Okay, so whatever goes down, we don't have to talk about it, right? How ugly it could have been, right? Or whatever it was. The ugliness factor probably depends on, your imagination of people in that situation. But even if he was just sitting there on a work day, drunk, angry, do you see what it would do to the burrito? Do you see what would happen to the burrito if he was angry? Do you see what would happen to the burrito if he yelled at his wife for spoiling their child? Do you see how easily something so glorious as a handmade, fresh tortilla and beans, how that beautiful thing could be tainted so easily? Now, we know it's tainted. That burrito that day is tainted. Now, if he's sober when she gets home, he recognizes what happened and he says he's sorry and it will never happen again. Then you can see the burrito's flavor will start to come back. But that burrito will never, ever be the same until that memory of that is either so small that it just doesn't come up, or so healed, right, that there's been enough burritos afterwards. But do you see how that burrito is affected? It's the burrito. So now imagine books. How easily a book can be tainted to make it so that you don't want to reach for a book. And so I'm so sorry. I didn't really mean to think about crying on a video in my office trying to tell you this, but that's what happened. Everyone can read. The literacy is in here, I swear to you. If you don't choose to read, or you don't read inward and think about yourself while you're reading, then something happened and it can be healed. And then you can grow to see why people are reading and what they're doing, right? And so I just want you to understand what I learned is that the burrito can be changed. And if a burrito can be changed, how easy would it be to have a kid with an accent speaking, or a kid reading, because the teacher made them read out loud. They're reading out loud and it's being reinforced that they can't read. And then everyone in the room is reading, and that's not even real. You don't have to read out loud at all, ever. And there are, I don't know, millions of examples of that. Billions? I mean, but when you read out loud, and if you're stumbling, you're reinforcing the negative idea that you can't. And then if people laugh, then you're putting in the negative reinforcement with a crap load of shame. And you put those two together, and it makes you not reach. It changes the flavor of the books. So if you'd had an extraordinary experience, it could still be ruined. You could have terrible experiences also and have it remade. That's what we're here for, is to reshape how books are. But for right now, for this short video, that's it. That's the key. So whatever books are to you right now, if you're great with the definition, great. Let me teach you how to help other people. But if you're not great with the definition, there's more. And I can help. But it's that simple. And it's that simple. What happened? And simple is the wrong word, but it's like, it's devastating. But it doesn't take much, as you can see. 100 great burritos delivered in a timely manner. And then one bad burrito. And that's the key. It wasn't the burrito. It was how the burrito was delivered. And the experience changed, right? And the location was the same, but the emotion attached to the burrito was completely different. And that is the key to everything. So thank you for being here.